Hello, everybody. Welcome here to the marriage conference. It's a little bit different than we get together, but it's so awesome how you've all got different people invited over, and you're just going to make a great party and evening out of it. And you'll really enjoy it with Mike and Alicia. But anyway, yeah, just some of you have a date night, some of you have people over, and as we like to say, this can continue on. It can start something, and we just hope that you'll be just sit back, get your glasses of drink and your things that you can enjoy, your snacks, and we'll look forward to just spending the time with you, Joanne and I.
Yes, as Brian said, we're Brian and Joanna Simpson, and we'll be the host for this evening. This year marks the 12th year that we've had FFI's marriage conference, and we've held this in November for 12 years. And I'm just wondering how many of you have come to all 12 years events. Tonight we have 70 couples registered, and we believe there are more that have joined the watch parties. And thank you for registering, and thank you for connecting with us. If you had registered before November 10th, you would have received a little kit. And in that kit, you've had, probably you've even used it, your little wine, or at least your LCBO card, and some recipes and some excellent little articles and the questions that Alicia and Mike will be using after their talk. And I actually prepared the bruschettas.
Ooh.
They're just little.
Good work, honey.
They're just little. They're on a Triscuit. And we're going to enjoy that in our break. And we also have our wine for a little later on. So as everyone gets settled, we want to share a few of the exciting things we have going on this evening.
So just before we introduce Mike and Alicia, we want to know who's joining us. So there's a chat bar on the side. If you can put in your name, hello, this is Brian and Joanna, we're from Glencoe, or put in your location. That would be kind of fun to see where you all are coming from. And it's wonderful to see the FFI community in action. It's pretty scary sometimes. It just ramps right up and the energy starts flowing, and it's really good. It's just kind of like a wave goes out through our community, and it's great to strengthen each other by getting together as you have. So that's good. So where you're from, and just put it in there, and Adam will keep track of all that. So as you maybe have seen in the publicity, we have some fun prizes to give away. So we're just going to make it a little bit fun in the evening. And so one prize is a $100 coupon to a variety of restaurants, and you can choose which one. You and your spouse can go on a date. You might want to use that yourselves, not invite someone along, but you're welcome to do whatever you want. And then the second prize will be a bundle of books on marriage from the FFI office. As you see behind us, there's lots of books, and there's many more in the office here as well. And the third prize will be a personal favorite of ours, and we're recommending it's a book on kindness, and that helps marriage, but also helps way beyond. So those are the three prizes. And then we've also put your names in a draw box. And so everybody that had registered tonight, you right up to the last here, then we put your name in the box. So stay tuned. And then we're going to draw your names out for those prizes later. I think, when's that come? After
it'll be after
Mike and
the
Alicia's
talk.
Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good. So then finally, we want to highlight the fun of the watch parties. And through many of these several like homes and cities, there's small groups of friends have connected to watch this presentation tonight. Mike and Alicia were a great drawing card. And so then we wanted to do that in many of the FFI events. We've kind of seen this COVID thing that we can't always get together in one big group. But there is a lot of strength in that, because we encourage you to go on, and after tonight, you can invite some of those other couples or other couples into your homes and just together and build community. Just connect, encourage each other, and mentor each other. And we'll be doing that with the men's conference as well. So we want to do that. And then the prize,
Okay, so as the final fourth prize
right,
is
for the
that
draw.
we want to award the watch party, which has the most, total most years married together. So you'll have to do some math. And then if you could submit the host couple's names and the total number of years that you have all been married in your group. So each couple in the group then will win $100 off of one of the FFI camping programs, be it family camp, Knight's Quest for your sons, or Anchor Girls Camp for your daughters. And you'll have all the way to the end of Mike and Alicia's talk to figure out how many years you've been married, all of you. And we don't want you to be distracted from their talk. So take some moments now to figure out how much that is and submit it in your chat bar. Okay.
Okay, that's great. We're looking forward to that. That's going to be quite interesting to see how many years there are.
And actually, Adam will be posting those 4 prizes in the chat bar right now.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so we want to get to our awesome speakers, Mike and Alicia Hernon. And Joanna had the opportunity to visit the other day with them, and just before we went on here, and we just feel they're just so down to earth and so wise, and got so much to tell us that is practical, and we can apply and plug right into our lives today. So they'll deliver a half an hour talk roughly to us about being an intentional family and discovering our own unique mission as a married couple. After their talk, they're going to leave us with 4 discussion questions. And that gives us an opportunity at each watch party to talk there and discuss these questions. And so you'll also would have received the questions in the mail for anybody that registered before November 10th. Otherwise, you all were sent an electronic version in your reminder email. So if you have to look that up, but we'll bring them up. But just consider those questions that they will leave with you. So if you don't have it, Mike and Alicia will leave those with you. So we're going to leave you for about 20 minutes after that and start those discussion questions, either as couples in your group or as a group. And after that, this is after the talk, then you do the questions. Then Mike and Alicia will come back for a live Q&A, and you can put them on the spot and ask any questions. Shoot the questions into the chat bar, and Adam will relay them to us, and then Joanne, I can ask them on your behalf, and Mike and Alicia will pour forth that wisdom to us. So
now I would like to introduce Mike and Alicia Hernon. And after such a great time we had back in February on our date night, we had Alicia and Mike in, and we really enjoyed it. It felt like they were sitting in our living room and just visiting with us. Yeah. And a lot of you couples said that you really enjoyed their naturalness and their wisdom. So we wanted to bring them back.
I think we should have a drum roll now. It almost feels a drum roll or a trumpet blast, but never mind.
Okay. So as you know, Mike and Alicia are the creators of Messy Family Project, an organization whose mission is to empower parents, strengthen marriage, and bring families to Christ. And this is done through their podcasts, their short videos, downloadable resources, and live events. So without any further ado, welcome Alicia and Mike.
It is so great to be with you, Brian and Joanna, again.
Yes, thank you.
This really is a joy for us. Just to be here again. We love FFI. We love what you're doing. We're honored to be here. Yeah. And it's a joy for us.
Yeah, and so we actually, exciting times right now for us. We had our 4th grandchild was born actually 2 weeks ago. And then our daughter, Katie, who's our oldest, who works for us, just like Sarah works for Brian and Joanna, which is funny, but she is due any day now. So with that, it's going to be our 5th grandchild. Yeah. So this is a very exciting time for us, having children at home and children who are married and having grandchildren, as well as us doing this family ministry. It is a great joy for us to be here. Yeah.
So we're just to kind of start off a little bit here tonight. But I spent about 10 years working in politics. And when I was in politics, someone shared this really kind of powerful quote with me from St. Ignatius of Loyola. And St. Ignatius said that the devil will use what is far off to distract us from that which is near. Meaning that sometimes we get so caught up in the political, the economic, all these other issues that are out there in the world, in society, and we lose focus on the things that we can actually have an impact and control over. Particularly when we look at our family. So that's what we're talking about tonight. We're talking about the family, the entity that you can have the greatest impact on and the greatest influence on. So whether you're a parent, a grandparent, whether your kids are still in the home or not, if you want to, transform and renew the world, it all begins with the family. It all comes back to the family. Again, I think we know this, but our world has changed in the last 50 plus years.
If you've been living under a rock, you already haven't realized that.
but like our countries, right? You are the institutions, if you will, of our countries used to support us in our work. The values the kids were being taught in home was often echoed in school, and they were often supported, whether it be in the public square or the media. Today, the culture is still communicating values, is still, sending forth and teaching our kids. But those values are really antithetical to what it means to be Catholic. And, there's the hookup culture, there's the materialism, there's transgenderism, all these other issues that are out there today that really are making it more challenging than ever to raise our families in this world, right? Those effective supports that used to be there to come alongside us really aren't there, and we have to recognize that this is a real and present danger to us. Just looking again, kind of at the big picture of the family and society and the world. Sometimes as families, we can feel like we're just this little dot on the map, but these attacks have really affected us as a family, and there's social science research that talks about the importance of the idea that the family broke down and before the faith declined, right? So Mary Eberstadt is a social science researcher who wrote the book How the West Really Lost God. And she looks at the Western countries and sees that there was actually a breakdown of the family first before there was actually a decline in faith. And so by recognizing this, she calls it the double helix of society, that faith and family are this kind of necessary and supports for each other. And that in our history, the family has broken down and faith was lost. But she also believes that when the family is renewed, it will also help and renew the faith. And so we really need to take this idea and recognize that our family, our small little efforts in our home actually has massive influence on the world around us, and that we can't get caught up on, not that we don't need great people in politics working in all these other efforts out there in the world, but the most powerful entity is the family. So many people lament where the family is now and kind of look at the problem of the family. But the family isn't the problem. The family is actually the solution, right? The family is the solution. And if we recognize that the family is the building block of all of society, then renewing that family is the surest way to renew the church as well as transform the world. Mother Teresa would say that if you want to change the world, go home and love your family. And this is what we're
Maybe we can chat with Adam then about pinning our video. So don't lose heart, right? Because as we're talking about the breakdown of the family and the loss of faith, we have to recognize that God always gives the church what she needs when she needs it. The church is in crisis today, but like my mom would say, in talking about these issues. She was like, the church is always in crisis, right? That always happens. And so, but God is always taking care of the church. So let's just think for a minute of how is the Holy Spirit speaking to the church in her current crisis, right? How has he been preparing us? Well, let's look at how is the Holy Spirit been speaking to the church? First of all, Vatican II, right? Vatican II proclaimed the universal call to holiness. It confirmed and affirmed the role of the laity in the life of the church. And then we have John Paul II, who came and magnified it even more with his beautiful theology of the body that said to married couples, your marital love, having children, this isn't just a good thing to do. This isn't just a great thing to do, but this is sacred. This is a sacred act within the home. And he taught us how to become saints in our own home, right? So in past crises, God has chosen to renew the church through great saints, through religious orders, right? When monastic life was in crisis, he gave us Benedict. When the church was too worldly, he gave us the Franciscans and the Dominicans, right? And then when we were in error, he gave us the Saint Ignatius and the Jesuits. And these men all started religious orders that God chose to renew the church. So putting this all together, right? Who is he using today? Who is God using today? So I want to paint this little picture for you. So a young Catholic mom, she has a bunch of kids. She's trying to keep it all together. She and her husband adore each other, but they have conflict because she likes to shop. She likes to go and buy her clothes, which of course I can relate to, right? She works full time. She gets a nanny to watch her kids. Her kids hate having a nanny. She has a child who's expelled from school. And like a lot of women, she struggles with all of these anxieties and worries throughout her life. But she faithfully brings them to Our Lady and to our Lord in prayer. Now you may ask yourself, how can that woman change the world? And this woman actually considered becoming a religious. Would she have done more for the church in becoming a religious? Would a leader or a priest do more for the church than she would? Well, you know who I just described to you? That is Saint Zélie Martin, the wife of Saint Louis Martin and the mother of Saint Therese, a doctor of the church. So no, she wouldn't have had more impact on the church as being a religious. She had the most impact by being a mom, by being a wife, right? We have to change the way of envisioning what holiness and renewal looks like. What if we had more mothers like that? What if we had more fathers? What if we had a generation of families who lived the church's teaching faithfully, not like a religious, but like a family? So John Paul tells us in Familiaris Consortio, each family finds within itself a summons that cannot be ignored, that specifies both its dignity and responsibility. Family, become what you are. That's how we are going to bring our church to holiness. Not necessarily by going outside of our home to, start great movements and works and all of that, but by being a better mother, a better father, a better son, a better brother, a better sister, a better aunt, uncle, grandparent. So many problems in our society are so deep and personal, they can only be healed within the family. I may be wrong, but I don't think that revival in our church is going to come through a new religious order. I really don't. I believe it is going to come through families. So if we look at the family today and we're painting this picture of the environment that the family is growing in, I think of it this way. The family is like a seed, right? It has the makeup. It has the potential, the design for the perfect, proper growth of the human person. This is the best way to form a human person. But the problem is that the environment that our families are growing in right now, like the environment in which that seed is growing, is toxic. So how can we remind families of who they are? How can we kind of pour fertilizer in the ground around that seed to really help families to grow and become what they are meant to be, even within this unhealthy environment of our culture?
And we believe that answer is families understanding their why. And I'll explain this. Sometimes Catholics, sometimes we in the world, we try to complicate things. We
Right.
theologize, or we spend a lot of time in these big ideas, and make our lives just too complicated. But the family isn't an overly complicated structure. It's not easy, but it's not overly complicated.
Simple but hard.
Simple but hard, right? So the church says that the parents' ministry, the parents' role, is original and irreplaceable. This is John Paul II from Familiaris Consortio. He says the parents' role is original and irreplaceable, meaning no one can take your place in the life of your child. No one can take your place in your marriage. It is original, meaning this is before everything else, right? This predates any business or even any parish for that matter. It's so basic to what we are. And it says, John Paul II says it has the characteristics typical of family life, which should be interwoven with love, simplicity, practicality, and just daily witness, right? So the idea that we are taking on something, it's part of who we are. It's in our very DNA. God designed this, and we need to, in some ways, get out of the way and recognize that this is God's plan. This is God's path for the growth of the human race, but also for the salvation and renewal of the world. Now, God gives us the grace to be a husband and wife, to be a mom and a dad. And again, a Catholic marriage, or a marriage in the true Christian sense, is one man, covenantally bound to one woman who generously welcomed children from the Lord. But beyond that, we have to get rid of the notion that there's only one way to be a family. You don't have to be our way or the Stimson's way, or there is something very powerful and beautiful about the fact that we have things in common, but we're also called very uniquely. We're called very specially, which takes a burden off of us, because we don't like being called experts, because we don't know how you should step into your particular role. We have some big principles and a mission that we want to share, but how you do it is really up to you and the Lord, and how that's worked out. Because we have couples who come to us all the time looking for advice. We have thousands of couples that we kind of engage with on a monthly basis, and they're asking us questions like, how do we discipline our kids, or what will keep our kids Catholic, or how do we talk about money, or the most important, what do we do to get our kids to sleep through the night? They ask these questions, and the questions are, they're asking what and how. And those are important questions, and we try to address their concerns and their issues and help them overcome that. But from our wisdom, from our experience, what we've seen from others, but really ultimately what we want to do is draw them back to not just what and how, but to their deeper why. Right? The reason that's going to drive us to some true principles that are unique to them, as well as universal to all families. And that's what we think that's what we want to spend our time tonight, is really kind of unpacking the why. Simon Sinek, kind of a secular speaker out there, said it always begins with why. Good businesses, organizations, they go back to this kind of internal motivation. This motivation, how do we move forward? We need clarity on why we're doing this before we know what and how we're doing it. But most people spend most of their day on what and how. Think about this as a military analogy. It is vital that a battle plan is needed when you're going in from a military engagement standpoint. But if you lack clarity on the mission, it is all lost. There's an old saying, something like, a battle plan. No battle plan survives the first contact with an enemy. Meaning, once the first bullet is fired, but if they didn't have clarity on what the mission was, if they're not moving their forces, if they're not engaging in the proper way and knowing what are we trying to accomplish here, right? So you have to have the objective, the destination, what is driving you forward. That is your why. That is the why that we as a family need to understand. The why is that internal compass, right? That directs our lives, that gives us reasons to make the decisions that we make in our life that are going to be different than others. The how and the what, again, are very important, but we need to live out of integrity and intentionality, connecting our actions back to the why. So your family can't just be making random choices and changing directions and shooting from the hip. I feel like that's what we did a lot as young couple. As a young couple, is that we were always putting out fires, right? We were always going from one urgent issue to another and never taking a moment to pause and say, why are we doing all of this? What is the deeper reason at work? Because we need to allow our intent, in order to be intentional, which is the theme of tonight, intentional family life.
It's a drinking game. Every time we say intentional, you can just like take a drink, right?
That's right. That's a good point. All right. So as a church, I think one of the solutions, one of the things that we believe the church needs to become very effective at is really teaching people a pathway to understanding their why and empowering them to live it out, because it is ours to own. It isn't someone else's job. As John Paul II said, your role in the ministry as a parent is original and irreplaceable. No one else can do this but you. You are so essential for your child, for your marriage. So in discovering your why, you'll know what to do when things change. Your why will help you make so many decisions that may be very monumental right now. They'll make them actually much simpler and straightforward. One of the reasons it's vital to understand this is because, again, as we said earlier, your why is so important because everyone's a little bit different. And people and situations change. Your family changes. And knowing your why, you'll be able to operate more effectively and manage those situations more effectively.
So you may be sitting there and be like, okay, I still don't understand what the why is. Well, we're going to break it down for you because we love being practical and we love teaching people this. Okay, so like Mike said, your why, that's your internal compass, right? It is made up of three things: your mission, your vision, and your values. And if you have the handout, we kind of go through this little talk summary on the one side so you can kind of follow along as we go through this. So first of all, let's talk about the mission. The mission of the Catholic family has been given to us by the church. And so the mission is the same for all of us. Okay, so now the why is made up of three things. The first thing is mission, which is the same for every Catholic family. And that is the family has the mission to guard, reveal, and communicate love. And the reason that we do that, right, is because this is a living reflection of and a real sharing in God's love for humanity and the love of Christ the Lord for the church, his bride. So that's all you have to do in your family, just image God's love for humanity, right?
No big deal.
Just no big deal. No, but really that is what we are called to do. And so think about it. This is throughout our marriage, our parenting, our discipline, our physical intimacy even. In all of these ways, we are to guard love, reveal love, and communicate love. And that makes the family an icon on this earth of the triune God. It's wow. And that needs to be in the front of our mind in the decisions that we make for our family. That has to be part of what is in our heart and how we live in the world. Right. So now the other two parts are going to be different for everyone. So we have a universal mission, but you have a unique set of values and a particular vision. And we love talking about this because things get really fun. So every family is irreplaceable. If you think about it, every person, right? There has never been another person like me in the history of the world, and there will never be again. This is what we understand. God is infinitely creative. How much more so for your family? If you think about that, there has never been a family like yours in the history of the world, and there will never be a family again. Isn't that beautiful? And so you have to really think about, how did God create us? What does make us different? Because when you understand what is unique about your family, what are the values that your family has, that helps you determine everything else. So this helps you figure out things like where you live, where you send your kids to school, how you vacation, how you spend your free time or money, how you celebrate holidays, even how you pray. And so we've found that when you articulate this unique vision and values, it brings great unity to couples and clarity when they have to make tough choices. And it also enables you to look at other families without judgment, because you can say, these are our values. This is the way we pray as a family. This is how we spend time together. That's what that family does. And that's okay, because this is what we value. This is who we are. And so this is what the family needs to help define that internal compass and then connect that to their actions.
And so just talking about these values, or these core values for your family, we're not able to walk through everything. So if you want to go deeper in this, we're happy to go more, but we'll give you a little bit of more flesh on this, because again, trying to make this thoughtful for you as a process. Your family's values are part, again, that you're going to recognize that makes you different from other families. We have to really ask that question. What about us as a family is different than all the other friends that we know, right? And try to narrow that down to 2 or 3 core values, right? What are those values? What makes you unique from the families that you go to church with, or that are in the same school, as
or that you're at this watch party with?
That's right. And it's like, and they can't necessarily be values that we all share in common. Meaning, I remember when we first talked about this, people were like, well, we try to be respectful and kind in our family. Well, yeah, every family is like that.
Every family should do that. So that doesn't count.
Or their values are, this is not a core value, is an aspirational value. A value that's like, hey, we want to be like,
more civically involved.
Right, or whatever.
Yeah.
But if it's not today, then that's not currently a value of yours. Not to say you can't aspire and grow and develop new habits and ways of acting. And it's important that we don't compare to others, because again, that whole idea that we're uniquely made, and we're made by God this way, right? So the idea is that you're discovering your values. Not that you are always living with intentionality based on those values, but that they're already there. And so it's spending some time saying, what do we really care about? What's really important for us? And one way to discover this value is to consider how the two of you were attracted to each other when you first met, and in the early years of your marriage. We actually, maybe it was about maybe a year ago, one of our kids found this list that I guess I had written when I was in college, or
it was when we were dating
or something. Okay.
It was a letter you wrote to me.
Okay. And I had it was a kind of a bucket list before I knew there was such a thing as a bucket list. I said, these are all the things that I aspire for, right?
This is us getting to know each other.
And so I was talking about Ireland and wanting to visit there, where my grandparents and heritage comes from, living on a big place of land and kind of farm and garden, and designing my own house. Or I really cared about a big family. I also cared about travel, and I cared about hospitality. Mm-hmm. And all these things, many of these things we were able to either accomplish or do, which I thought was pretty cool. But what was great is thinking about it and saying, wait, that's actually one of the things that Alicia and I were drawn together on. We really, we both wanted a larger family. We had this idea that travel and kind of the adventurous experiences of things, that was something that we both shared in common, but also this idea of hospitality, which actually leads to another funny way to figure out a value is to think about it. It's like, what have you gotten in trouble with? Something that you really value that has actually gotten you into trouble before, or maybe you've taken a little bit too far. We mentioned hospitality is a value of ours. Well, there was more than one occasion, but there was at least one occasion where we love having people over, hosting them in our home. And we invited so many people that we actually ran out of room for people to stay at our house. And so it was extended family. They didn't mind, the kind of creative.
There's always room. You always want another,
We turned a room that was a study into a bedroom, and all the kids were, and it got us in trouble. And it was exhausting. And at the end of the day, we looked and says, we love this. This was so important to us.
But maybe we'll do this differently next time.
That's right. Maybe we'll think about this. We'll think twice about that next time. But also another way to think about your values, the core values, is to things that might actually bother you about other people. We placed a higher value in traveling to visit extended family members. And it actually bothered us that there wasn't always a reciprocation from some families, that we would travel out, we would make the sacrifice, but they didn't always come out to say it. That doesn't mean they didn't love us. That didn't mean that they didn't care about us, but they didn't place as high a value on the travel part of making that kind of a sacrifice.
And it was just so hard for us to understand, but we had to
realize... We kept judging them. They're just bad people.
But not really, because we always felt loved by them, but then we had to realize That's because we value travel and they don't.
Right.
You see?
And so anyway, so the idea of coming up with these values is such that you can then have an easier time deciding, yeah, that's not what we're going to do, or that's not part of our worldview as a family, right? And that doesn't mean, again, you have a mission that is unchanging. So you don't want to love, sorry, you got to love. If you don't want to grow in holiness, well, that's part of the mission of a Catholic. We have all these ways that we're supposed to serve and be called into all of that. That's part of what it means to be a family. Mm-hmm. But what's unique about us is getting to that place where we understand our unique values. And so we actually, although there's one last thing, if we have time there? No, we don't. I'll skip it and we'll catch it later if we can.
So we have mission, and then we have values, and then we have vision, right? So after you discover your values, you need to cast a vision for what you want your family to look like. How do you want to look 10 years from now or 20 years from now, right? What virtues or habit or lifestyle do you want for your kids when they're in their 20s or 30s? So the vision is really kind of putting flesh on your values. Like, how are you going to live this out? And that vision really reflects the values, right? So mission, vision, values, they all kind of flow one from another. And recognize that these desires that you have for your family and for yourself are from God. So if you say, you know what, I want to be a millionaire. That's my vision for our family. I recognize that could be from God.
It could be.
That could, right. It could be that maybe that's something. And as you discern that with your spouse, because it's not just one person's family, it's your family, right? Or we want to be debt free, or we want to own a lake house someday, or we want our children to really be missionaries and have a missionary heart and live the faith. And that really takes a living beyond today, right? And some people admittedly are better at this than others. So to be able to dream big. Some people do that really well. Like Mike does that really, really well, right? I'm more like the practical. Okay, what's right now? What's today?
Which is the beauty of actually being married, right? I mean,
right.
We need people who can plant a flag. Right. We need people who can actually help us get to that flag,
right.
Right. And I think too many people, you overestimate what you can accomplish in 1 year and underestimate what you can accomplish in 10.
Right.
But in order to live a more intentional life and knowing your why, think about where your family, where your marriage, where your kids are going to be in 10 and 20 years from now.
Right.
That changes the conversation,
right.
And it really puts you into a place where you're saying, okay, what does God want?
Yeah.
Where does God have us in the future?
Yeah, exactly. Because then you'll know why you're making the sacrifices today, and you'll be inspired to live a certain way, whether it's financial decisions or whether it's decisions in prayer or whether it's decisions of where you choose to live or send your kids to school. All of those decisions should be connected to that why of who you want your family to be, those unique vision and values, and it will help you to embrace that uniqueness.
And the reason it's so important for a family, for all of us to embrace that mission, the mission that God has given us, is that the family has what the world is looking for. The whole world is looking for what the Catholic family has, both in the formation of our children and the formation of adults that happen through mm-hmm. our marriage and our parenting. This is the idea here that our life as a married couple, we don't have a seminary, as a married couple. We have kids. Kids change us, they form us, they shape us, and it's by thinking forward, by living intentionally, by aspiring to what God has called us to. That's how we are shaped. That's how we mm-hmm. are changed. And that makes it profoundly different. And by doing that, we have this irreplaceable role that the whole society has that powerful impact. Mm-hmm. I had this powerful and profound experience of God's love holding my child, my firstborn child. And I have also never been more angry in my entire life than dealing with one of my teenagers, right? But both of these experiences are calling me and challenging me to become who God meant me to be. Mm-hmm. This is my path to holiness. This is your path to holiness. This is how we become saints. It's by making ourselves a gift in our marriage and to our children that we embrace the sacred calling for parents. So
So really,
4 minutes.
what we really want to say is the best response to the crisis in the church is the renewal of the family. So as we said at the beginning of this talk, so our society is becoming more toxic and families are suffering, but there is hope. You know, Sister Lucia from Fatima said that a time will come when the decisive battle between the kingdom of Christ and Satan will be over marriage and family. And that's the decisive battle over marriage and family. And we can see that. And we need to know the day of casual Catholicism is over. You know, like who would have thought the new rebel cry is, you know, get married and have kids, you know, right? But this is what we need. This is what our church needs. We families need to take our place because there is no greater need in the church and the world. And God has provided us a way. You know, He has not left us abandoned. He has not left us abandoned in trying to figure this out on our own. He has said, families, become what you are. Live that why with intentionality, and we can really transform the world. You know, we have seen absolutely amazing things in this work, and it gives us so much hope for the future of the church when we see all of these beautiful young families boldly embracing God's plan.
Yeah. So families are the hope of the church, you know, and as we are renewed and strengthened as families in our small little ways, that's how we transform the world. And this is a joy for us to be a part of this, and to also invite you into hopefully understanding more deeply your unique why for your family and live more intentionally. So thank you.
Thank you, Mike and Alicia.
Wow.
And Adam, you're going to put the 4 questions up. Is that right, Adam? And then we'll take our 20-minute break for everyone to take that opportunity to answer and discuss some of those questions, either in your group or as a couple if you're on your own, and fill up your glass and grab some snacks, and we'll be back in 20 minutes. Okay, thank you.
And Caesar, you can come for a visit there. I see you.
Very good. Very good. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. That was a good little break, and our little skit thing. Yeah, we all have to laugh at ourselves sometimes, and it did bring back a couple of memories too. So anyway, we won't go into that right now, will we? Okay. So on to the prizes. We're going to draw a name, and we talked about the 3 prizes before. So that was from the list of whoever had registered, and all of you, your names in there.
Here
And
we are.
okay, I'm gonna pick, right?
No, it's me. I
What?
think I'm supposed to
No,
pick.
I think I was supposed to.
No, I think I was going to pick. Okay.
I don't think this is a battle, guys. Joe, I think you should pick.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Okay, for the marriage book bundle from the FFI office,
Is Catherine and Caesar Matusiak.
Matusiak. Yeah, they're up at, they're from Brampton, right? So
Congratulations.
we'll look at getting those things to you, whoever the winners are. Okay, the book on kindness. Yeah. Who we got there?
Okay, we
You
have
got-
Nicole and Tim Prentice.
Okay, Nicole and Tim, you've got a book on kindness coming to you, and the office will contact you. Now, $100 coupon to a variety of various restaurants that you can go out with a date night already paid. And who is the lucky?
Megan and John Noel.
Oh, Megan and John will have to arrange
Congratulations.
to get that over. So all of you 3 prize winners, that's great. Now, we also, Adam's been watching, and you've all been sending in how many years consolidated, that all of the additional years, if you add all the couples, how many years in total is at your watch group? And there were numbers going up and up and up, and Adam checked too. And who was the most?
Well, the years were 116 years married, and it's from the watch party of Barb and Chris Runstedler. So congratulations to each of the couples in attendance. If you can just let us know who the couples are, and then you can claim your $100 coupon, each of you.
Each couple gets a coupon
for the family camping experiences in the summer, next summer. Congratulations, Barb and Chris.
Maybe you can even have your own family camp
Yeah.
week, your own. Anyway, okay, that was fun, guys, and we won't have any more battles, right? You know, that's all figured out. Okay, so let's go back to
we wanted to bring in Mike and Alicia again, because we're going to do our live Q&A, and we wanted that we've got several questions already sent in from the group, and the first question we wanted to ask was that couples have varying degrees of availability, Mike and Alicia, and varying degrees of buy-in. How can a couple even make time? And do you have any concrete suggestions on how to get started?
Yes. So the first thought that comes to mind is that
You want to talk about the research that you did?
I did some actually extensive research on this idea. So we do get this question a lot about time, making time, and I've done a lot of research, and it turns out you can't get more time. You buy it. I try to go and find places. You can't make it up. There's no machine. I went to Sharper Image. I went to a whole bunch of places, and it doesn't. So we all have the same amount of time, and I think just recognizing that it's a truth we all know, but saying it's what we do with that time. And hopefully one of the things that we encouraged folks to think about tonight is that. What do we really want out of our marriage? What kind of marriage do we really want? What do we want for our families? And when we prioritize the things that are most important to us, we'll make the time for it. Yeah. Dave Ramsey, kind of financial guru, would always say, if your child needs life-saving surgery, could you come up with $1,000 or cash?
Yeah.
And everyone's like, well, if I needed to, yeah. But can't we do the same thing with our time? Like, is your marriage worth it? Is your family worth it? How would we come up with the time we need? Mm-hmm. It's not easy, and like we said before, but it's actually pretty simple. And we think that by setting up things that are most important are spiritual life, your marriage, and how you're forming your kids. If you look at those three priorities and say, in my diary, in my calendar, in my life, how am I prioritizing those three most important things? If you've got those three things in check, then you're doing pretty well.
Yeah, because I think that it's really that that juxtaposition between the urgent and important. A lot of times we're always just dealing with the urgent. We're just putting out fires and we're not taking time for the things that are important. And before you know it, your 2-year-old is going to be 6 and they're going to be going to school and then they're going to be going to high school and then they're going to be getting married, and you're going to sit back and be like, we didn't build the kind of family that I wanted, and your kids are going to be leaving the faith, and you'll have all of these issues because you didn't stop and take a weekend, get a babysitter, put your kids down at 7 o'clock, whatever it takes to just stop and look at your spouse and be like, okay, what are we doing again? And just really have those more difficult, higher level conversations. No business would survive by just putting out fires constantly. We all know that. There's no way they would survive. They would survive for a little bit, but then they'd flame out, and our marriages and our families are the same. You have to stop and be like, what is our why? Why are we doing this? Why are we living the way that we are? So you can really be in unity. And then I think in some ways that's going to save you more time in the long run, because you won't have to have these big, long, drawn out fights or conflict or whatever, because you will be starting from a place of unity and starting from a place of we know who we are and where we are going. So if it's important enough to you, you will make the time.
And making the time is just as simple as making the time. But start small and just make something incremental. I think is saying that we want to get a regular date night. We've done a poll. Every successfully married couple has committed to date nights.
Yeah,
but
it's one of the number one things people say to us.
Every young couple who I poll, do you believe it? Yes. When's the last time you had a date night?
Yeah.
Those are two very different answers.
Right.
And I think we just need to make a commitment. Hey, let's commit to this one and then this one and take those baby steps to make it happen.
It's so true. Joanne and I were just working with a couple the other week, and they just were trying, they wanted to, but they weren't doing. So we said, okay, fine. Like Mike says, do it small. So we said, okay, 20 minutes, and we're going to stand here and put in your day timers. Both of your day timers are on your phones, 20 minutes, and they do it. And now it's growing beyond, so that you start small. Okay, another question. I suspect this is written by one of the wives, but sometimes it's especially hard to get the husbands to buy in for these sort of talks tonight or other like-minded to enhance. What can we do?
Now, we're not talking about any of the husbands who are listening to this talk right now.
They're already bought in.
That's right.
Or at least they were smart enough to listen to their wife.
Exactly. And go. Okay, so I think I'm going to kind of take this question and answer it a little bit differently.
Yes.
I think that even asking the question in that way of how do I get my husband's buy-in? What you are asking, it's like saying, I want my husband to lead in our family. I want him to lead with me in our family. And so to that wife, I would say, I would challenge her to step back and say, well, are you treating your husband like he's the leader of your family? Or are you saying, you need to come and do this with me? I don't think that's very motivating to men, right? Men want respect. And if you are treating him as a child, like, hey, this is this thing, you have to do this, that's not the way to get to his heart, So I think that what men want to feel needed. They want to feel needed. And so if wives come to their husband in a sense of, I feel like our family could be something more, and I can't do this alone. Can you help me? Can you help me? Can we talk about these things?
Men do want to respond to that need. Now, yes. I think it's a reality that we all know in faith, in relationships, and sometimes coming to these things, there often is a greater feminine desire, right? That usually, generically speaking, at least, right? The men that are here tonight are exceptional and
Obviously.
amazing, but it isn't always natural for men to talk about relationships. And if we're talking about feelings and all of that
Notice
isn't,
how he just said that. Feelings.
touchy feely stuff, right? That isn't always an attractive thing for men.
Right.
And I think we have to just recognize that men and women are different. I don't know if anyone told that to you before. I know it's probably against, I don't know, is it against the law yet to say that? I don't know. But the reality is that there is a beauty and a genius to men and women.
Yes.
And we as men tend to be more reductive in our type of communication, more solution oriented, and wanting to step in and solve problems. That isn't a bad thing. It's not always oriented to the most effective way to have a relationship with somebody, and we need to grow in that. But it's often that there's a complementarity that we need to see
Right.
In our marriage as well as in our parenting. We need both men and women, that their perspectives and their leadership is going to look different, but together we're building something beautiful together.
Right.
So anyway,
And I think you have to kind of start with that affirmation of your husband, of respecting his giftedness, respecting his way of seeing things, and then to express to him your desires, because I believe husbands want to serve. They want to serve their wives, but they don't always know how. And so when she is clear, not just giving hints, men are not good with the hints. Oh, he should know what I'm thinking. I'm kind of doing
Clueless.
this, no, it doesn't work that way. Just got to come right out and say it, but come at it with an attitude of respect for his leadership and recognizing that he does have a desire to lead and serve, but you need to show him how, the steps, what you need.
Okay, thank you. Oh, so wise. Yeah, thank you. Okay, there's a question. I would like Mike and Alicia to expand a little more on what a family's values and vision can look like if, for example, a couple is not able to have children or has only a few when they hope to have many.
Sure, yeah. First, every family necessarily is different, right? And then God gives us different challenges, struggles, and we've known couples who've struggled with infertility or secondary infertility, having only one or two and then not able to have additional children. And God appreciates that sacrifice, that suffering. It is sometimes hard to bear with that. But the reality is that all of us are called for something. We were, as we got married, I was just reading this just earlier, that when we love each other before marriage, that's really between the two of us. When we get married, we're actually stepping into a role in the church. It's almost like an order, right? In the sense that we have a leadership role, whether those children are our biological children or whether they're spiritual children that we can mentor, that we can love, that we can help form. We strongly believe that every man is called to be a father and every woman is called to be a mother, and that there is some beautiful gift that we have to give to the world. So the question isn't, it will look different, depending on that size of family, your state in life. Things will change over time. We're beginning to have adult children who are having children, so we're having grandchildren and thinking about things a little differently. But that vision really should be, God, what do you want for us? God, where do you want us to serve? Because you've given us a great gift of our marriage, and that marriage is not meant just for us. It's not for us to bask in each other's love, but that sacramental grace is meant for us to help others. Right. And how do we do that? That's a time where we need to brainstorm, discern, aspire to what would our marriage look like? How would we serve in the church? How would we serve in our community? Orienting our lives in such a way that we can look at our time, our talent, our treasure in such a way that we can say, how are we uniquely gifted, positioned, and being deployed for the kingdom of God? Right. Because that's what our marriage is about, service to others.
And I think that discernment is definitely more difficult in some ways if you don't have children or if you only have a few children. Because as a mother of a large family, God's will is pretty obvious, right here.
I got a sick child. I got to take care of that kid.
Take care of these children, right? But I remember my mom said that when all of us moved out of the house, knowing God's will was more difficult because there's so much she could do, right? And so if you don't have children, there are so many ways that God can use you. And so you really have to be very discerning. God, what are you calling me to? Because remember, we did not become a family the day our first child was born. We became a family on our wedding day.
That's right.
As a married couple, if you don't have children, you are a family. I have never seen such a wonderful father. One of my uncles, my aunt and uncle, could never have any children. When my uncle passed away last year, at his funeral, we were all talking and I was reflecting, this man was a father to so many people. So many people.
He was really a grandfather.
Yes.
A third grandfather for our kids,
Yeah. And so, and just thinking about that example, like Mike said, it's not even something we believe. The church teaches that one of the highest forms of spiritual maturity is being a spiritual mother and a spiritual father. We are all called to that. Even more so those people who don't have children or who don't have as large of a family, they're really called to serve the church because we need spiritual mothers and fathers desperately.
Yeah. Great. We've got another question here. What does a Catholic culture look like in a family, and what are some tips to bring it in?
Ah, yes. Well, we love talking about family culture.
That's right.
That is a very that is a great topic for us. So we came up with this definition of family culture. So family culture is what we believe it is. It is it's a way of life. It's a way of life. It's an unwritten set of expectations, beliefs, and values that bind your family together and confers identity, belonging, and mission. And so your culture within your home is not just like something you say, it is the way that you live. It is those expectations that are given to your kids, and your family culture can be negative or it can be positive. And so what we really have to think about, especially with like this why, is your family culture communicating, unspoken, communicating to your children the values that your deeply held values and beliefs. And you really need to think about that because it has to do with just how people speak to each other, how you spend your free time, what your marriage looks like, all of that.
Yeah, it's the expectations you have and the things you tolerate, right?
Yes.
One of the things I think is really so wonderful is that we have our direct relationship with our kids in the ways that we either kind of herd them if we have lots of kids, and for whether you have lots or only a few, it's the way you interact personally with those kids. But we also have this system, this kind of family culture is this kind of peer pressure within your home. Where is it oriented towards? Where is the beaten path that makes it easier for the other kids to follow, and that your kids end up keeping you accountable to? Hey, don't we always do this? Don't we always make this happen? Right? Don't they challenge us? Right? And but all of that is conferring one of the three really deeply important things for human formation is identity, who they are, belonging, where are we? Where's our place in this world? And the sense of mission, right? Where are they going? I mean, those are these traditions, rituals, habits of your home that are part of the family culture. So does that help?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Okay. We have just one
This is
quick
the last
question.
question.
Okay. Last question. How can a couple be more courageous in taking a stand for their values when another couple or the culture in general is not welcoming?
Yeah.
Okay, and so
this is where we live.
This
right?
is the world we live in. So and we're kind of, I'm assuming they're kind of conflating a little bit our unique values as well as the things we value maybe universally as Catholics, right? So I'm gonna answer it kind of on both levels. First and foremost, it's primarily about our witness. First we've got to be joyful and courageous, right? Yeah. In this world, it's gonna. I believe, and I'm not a pessimist, but I do believe it might get a little bit darker as the times ahead approach us, and that people are going to be, your light, your small little light of your family is going to burn even brighter because the world's getting a little dark. And so it does call for courage. And I think particularly as parents, we sometimes may think, oh, woe is me that my child's being born in this time, or my grandkids are around in this time. No, these are the great times. These are the times that God has always prepared the Daniel, to be in the lion's den, has called for the Peter, has called for, all these saints, all these great people have been given amazing graces, and we get to live in such a time as this. You're not meant to do it alone. So that the first step is recognizing that you
being part of FFI.
Just to really be connected with families, with other families is possibly the most important thing, because either you need it, which we all do. We may not recognize it, but we all need each other. But others may need our encouragement. And knowing that we don't have to convert the world. We don't have to change everybody's mind. That the Holy Spirit is going to do that. What we need to do is be obedient to our part and be our messy. One of the reasons we call ourselves the Messy Family Project is you don't have to be perfect. You're okay not having every perfect answer to every situation, but grow, be authentic, live what you believe in a fully bold way. Like we were kind of saying in the end, we are really encouraged, and we really are striving to continue to be bold in this day and age. It's not easy, but it's awesome.
But I think that just to kind of bring it full circle to how we started off this talk with that Familiaris Consortio quote, family become what you are. Like that's real. Like Mike just said, don't feel like, oh, we need to stand on a street corner, unless God's calling you to do that. If God's calling you to your family to stand on a street corner, and witness to him, do it. But for most of us are not called to that. We are called to be who we are. Your children, your marriage and your children, they are your first people you are to evangelize. They are that is your first priority. You live your life for the sake of your children, right? And for the sake of your own soul, because this is God, that responsibility. And then you just allow the Holy Spirit to do the rest,
Right,
like
and
Mike
just
was
being
saying.
present. Again, we in our world, I know I'm probably going over time here, but I think our world needs the example of families.
They're hungering.
So just
for
showing
families.
up with your roudy, messy, beautiful family,
Right.
Is a witness.
Right.
And again, we need word and deed. But people more is caught than taught, both in the home, but also as we're witnessing to others.
Yeah.
When we are joyful in our courageous living of our values, it's going to be attractive.
Yeah,
and it's
joy
going to be
is
compelling.
important. Joy is important.
Very
Wow.
good.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, we got to move on, but thanks to the participants for sending in, firing all those questions. But Mike and Alicia, so, peppering you with this, and just the wisdom that you brought to us, like it's wonderful. So thank you so much for that. And Mike and Alicia have a Messy Family Project, and Adam's putting a link up on all of your screens so you can top into that link so you can follow up and go back and see all their stuff. But Mike, Alicia, you just bring out something brand new here, and it's for the board meetings. So the family board meetings. Can you explain a little bit on that briefly, because we're short in time?
Yes.
Oh,
So
yes.
we'll
We're
keep it
so
short.
happy to do that. Yeah, go ahead.
So essentially what we talked about tonight was understanding your why. And this was actually, I saw some of the folks you have here have actually been on the family board meeting with us.
Yes.
We have a workshop that we do as part of the Messy Family Project that helps couples walk through a process where they can discern, their bigger vision for their family, as well as understanding what makes them unique, as well as what's right in front of them right now. How do we discern what should we do next, and get to the one or two things that they should focus on right now. And we create an opportunity for them to deepen both in their discernment as well as living out their why in a powerful way. Too many of us are running from the urgent, as
Right.
Alicia was saying earlier, and a family board meeting is a purposeful way to live more intentionally as a family and developing our family culture.
So this tool, this family board meeting tool, is a time, it's not, your family's not a democracy. My dad would always say that,
yeah.
this family's not a democracy. So it's the two of you leading your family. So the meeting is actually not for your whole family. Instead, it's for the board that runs your family, which is you and your spouse, right? And so what we've done is that we have these 5 sessions, which you can do in one weekend. And honestly, that is, in having done it in one weekend and in a 5-week course, the one weekend I think is more powerful, just to get away and to have, for the two of you to go through this 5-step process. And it really is it helps you to make some meaningful changes in your life. So you're going to walk away from the workshop with a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly schedule, a budget, personal goals for your family that can keep you focused on being a better parent or spouse, and not a whole list of goals, but will even help you, show you how to discern your one goal that you're going to focus on, that we call your rallying cry. So, and we have an entire workbook that we have created for you to help you to do this. So yeah, so that's a family board meeting that we would love for you to come with us.
And because we, FFI has been so good to us, and I feel like we are kindred spirits in so many ways, we did want to offer to anybody from FFI that comes to take the course with us $25 off the $100 tuition to take the workshop. And the way to make that happen is Adam already put the link in for you, but it's Messy Family Project / family board meeting. You can choose in the drop down menu FFI as how you heard about it, and that will make sure, because I'm probably going to forget if I was a parent. If you sign up now, it's just a waiting list. We'll send out the information as soon as it's available, but that will also remind us, hey, these guys get that special discount.
So if you go onto the website and do that, you're not committing
to anything.
Right, you're not committing to it. You're just saying, hey,
I'm interested.
Put my name on the waiting list, and then you will be the first to know, because we don't offer it up to an unlimited number of couples, because we mentor couples throughout. We have time to talk to you. We have question answer, all of that. And so we limit it to, I think, 70 couples. Right. And there's something else I was going to say. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Anyway, so
well, you know what, Mike and Alicia, thank you again so much. And there's only one answer. We got to have you back another time.
Yes.
Get some more of this wisdom. So we'll dream up something. Thank you so much for being with us. So
thank you. God bless you guys again for being with us.
Bye now.
And we want to thank Joanne, and I want to thank also all the participants, all the couples that signed up and were with us tonight and took part, and especially the host families that reached out, invited other people there, because we want to do this going forward in many of the other FFI events, is you kind of become a little island of light that you can reach out and bring friends and bring people to that. Maybe some families out there didn't realize something like this existed. So it's on you guys to, make this grow, and we'll give you more information in the future for that. So please stay tuned to FFI. There's many more activities coming up, and that's it. And now your task is to party on.
Yes. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Have a great night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. God bless you all.
God bless you.